TitleMatchNetwork.com.
You know, and so I was in between territories back then, and they had I guess he was working a program with Big John Studd. And Studd was supposed to be booked over in Austria for Otto Wanz. And it was the guy who ran the Austrian territory, was their champion. Big guy. He was 400 pounds. And, you know, he was an Olympic class wrestler. He was a good amateur.
In fact, I heard a story about him, and I think it was Vern, right? Where he paid Vern to be the world champion just for like a week or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, something.
Yeah. To have the AWA championship.
Exactly.
Right. Well, he was actually the Canadian champion or something, whatever. And so they were looking for somebody. Studd was in the middle of the program. They didn't want him to, they're not going to let him go to Austria and miss, you know, all these major cities, to miss the Garden and miss all the shows. So they were in a little bit of a dilemma as what to do, because they really didn't want to send any of their top talents. Normally they send guys like Slaughter or Studd, or you know, it was a big man's territory, and it was always for the finale of this tournament. They would have a month-long tournament over in Austria, and all the boys would be there. And then they always sent over, somebody came in for this last week. You do publicity for a week, and then you wrestle the finale of the tournament. Somebody wrestles Otto for the championship.
Right.
So they're sitting there going, "Oh, who are we going to send? Who was send?" Well, Hulkster goes, "Hey, send." They were calling me Dizzy Ed Boulder then, and actually I was wrestling as Dizzy Ed Hogan too.
Right.
And that's Pensacola territory, and then some of the other territories, they're calling me Dizzy Ed Hogan, and still, you know, because everybody associated us as brothers still since Boulder days. So they said, "Hey, send Dizzy Ed." So I got the call from Vince, bound to go over there, and they really built it up as a real underdog thing, you know, because they were, you know, a young guy, not really known, had really wrestled the big territories and got a lot of, you know, TV accomplishments or anything like that yet. And so, you know, Otto was very skeptical, actually, you know, and I got a lot of ribbing from the boys. You know, there's a lot of English guys over there, and they were ribbing me like, "Oh, you know, Otto's going to stretch me, and Otto's going to do this," you know, and it was interesting. You just publicity. You didn't have television there in those days. You had newspaper. Right. Every day we went to a different place. We went to a castle. We went to this big winery and a big animal park. Duke or Graf that owned this huge castle and all this shit. And we went over there and we did publicity at a different place every time. At Arnold Schwarzenegger's, where he grew up in the town of Graz there, and went to the gym that he used to work out in, and we did a weigh-in and everything. And I was about 255 pounds back then, and in, you know, monstrous shape. I'd been off and training like a madman, you know, and hoping to get a break in the New York territory. Because, you know, Terry was pushing me, you know, "Hey, you got to get ready, you know, because if the call comes in, you need to be ready." So there was the call, you know, to go work for Otto, and all eyes were upon me at this point. And so I didn't disappoint him. Otto was fat and out of shape at about 440 pounds, and he's only about 6 foot tall. And so, I mean, that's a massive, huge man. And, you know, over there they have the round of rounds. Match goes by rounds. And Otto laid out the match, and he does his finish was the steamroller or something, where he does like a little jump over you and rolls over you, you know. And we wrestled probably 5 or 6 rounds, you know, and I pounded the guy. I beat him till my fists were swollen black and blue, and it was just about time for the finish, and he called for a slam, and because it was kind of a standing joke, because Studd and a lot of the guys over the years have tried to slam him, and he's just so big, and he's so short, and his center of gravity is so low that nobody could really get him up. So nobody had the slightest clue that Dizzy Ed Boulder, 255 pounds, could pick this guy up. Well, buddy, I was right for the night, babe. And I went down and his eyeballs like bowled out and said, I snatched his fat ass up, turned him, and slammed him. And the whole building shook. And everybody in the building went silent in complete disbelief. They had never, in their wildest imagination, could believe that somebody My size would be strong enough to pick a guy like that up,
right.
Much less pick him, turn him, smash him down, right? Well, he was so fat that when he hit, his back went out, and he was basically almost immobile. He could barely move. And I was, kicking him and beating on him, and I didn't realize that he couldn't even get up.
Right.
So I reached down and was picking him up, and he hooked me in some type of amateur move and just said, stay there, and pulled me over.
Right.
And pinned me, 1, 2, 3, and boom, I was out and up and fucking stomping around and going crazy. And they rolled him out, put him in an ambulance, and took him away. And the people were going crazy, and they'd never seen. It was probably one of the best matches that Otto had ever had in all the years. And it was from the guy that they least expected for him to have a good match with.
Right.
And so that right there, the news went right straight back to New York. And next thing you know, I was in Vince's office, and they were trying to figure out something to do with me. And it looks like they were going to give me a hell of a break.
TitleMatchNetwork.com